So I would say that beyond just sending your CV, if you reach out to people on LinkedIn and actually not recruiters, I would say reach out to people who would be your potential boss. Okay, so when I was interviewing as a PM, as a product manager, I would reach out to VP of product or even the CEO because I don't care so much. You might not be like me and you do care, but reach out to your potential boss. Don't reach out to the recruiter because the recruiter has a set of filters and they can't see beyond those filters. So reach out to a VP, head of department, say, hey, here's how I think I could bring value. And I love what you're doing. Make it as personalized as possible. And surprisingly, sometimes you'll get answers of, yeah, let's have a chat on Sunday. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like I just skipped a few phases in the interview process. So networking is
Yeah.
definitely cool.
Hi everyone, welcome to this new podcast. And today we just have Daniel with us. And welcome Daniel, welcome to the podcast. And thanks for giving your time for adding value to our audience and to the podcast. And eagerly waiting to listen to your thoughts and hope this video adds more value to the audience as well. So first, let's start with your intro. So can you just give yourself some intro and to the audience who don't know about you? So yeah, we can just start with that.
Sure, Suman. Thanks for having me on. So a little bit about me. I was a software engineer, mainly backend for around 4 years. I've been everywhere between enterprise to startup. After that, I got into product management. I was always fascinated by AI. And then slowly what I did is I started advising startups through Intel Ignite and some other places, allowing them to raise seed rounds and working with a lot of founders and building out teams and stuff like that. And today I'm VP growth and strategy at One AI. We basically do NLP as a service. So you just call our API instead of building out your own NLP with your own data scientists, and we allow you to, summarize or detect emotions in text, video, anything you want.
Yeah, that's really cool. And how you just started your journey into tech? So how's that total journey? Can you just share about that?
Sure. So I think it started when I was young. I was like this gamer, this geek. I liked I would play StarCraft. I even played competitively. And then my life was on the computer. And then I was like, oh, cool, programming, JavaScript. And I studied that in high school. And then it just continued on to university after that. And slowly after that, I just became a programmer. That's how I got into the tech world, I would say.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And what's what are the companies that you just worked previously, and what are some of the roles that you just worked?
Sure. So as a software engineer, I started at Hotel Beds, which is like B2B travel tech, figuring out the availability of hotels, cruises. I would build out the infrastructure over there, a lot of backend and async stuff with Kafka and stuff like that. Afterwards, I went on to LivePerson, which does enterprise chat, replacing call centers. So everything is just by text and asynchronous. We worked with T-Mobile, Google, Apple, stuff like that. And then I started to discover the product world because I really like to help people. Like to help customers. And I noticed a lot of the things we were building got thrown away eventually. So I wanted to make sure that we're building the right thing. And that really attracted me to the world of product overall. After that, I started working in different startups and also Cornerstone as a product manager. In Cornerstone, we worked on basically learning for employees. So like kind of a Udemy for businesses. Like one of our customers is Amazon or Facebook, and employees can just take courses so they can develop their skills. And to do that, we had to use AI for recommendations. So what's the next course you want to take? How does Netflix make a decision? How does Cornerstone make a decision on what to recommend? So I would say that started my journey in AI. Yeah, so that's a little bit about my roles. And in Intel Ignite, I found myself advising different founders about product and if they're building the right thing, are they doing the right messaging? Because it's often a challenge that founders have building the
Yeah,
wrong thing and then your startup fails. And then slowly I reached One AI, kind of in the middle between marketing and product, somewhere in the middle in entrepreneurship, and that's where I am today.
that's really cool journey. Like the company that you just worked and some of the roles that you just worked. So you have just worked at different companies, and you're also currently working at a startup. So what are the difference that you just felt working at a startup and working at some uh, big tech company? So can you just share some of the things that you just like, some of the things that you just experienced? Yeah,
Sure. So the way I would compare it is basically enterprise is like driving in a van or a bus. Like it's slow and steady, and you're gonna get there hopefully. And a startup is more of a roller coaster. Like every little thing can cause a crash, or you don't know what's gonna happen necessarily. Obviously, it depends on the stage of the startup. So take what I'm saying with a grain of
yeah,
salt. But I would say advantages are of a startup. You feel more part of the mission, I would say, or that you have more of an impact. On the other hand, you don't necessarily have the time you need to properly study what you're going to be work on. You need results tomorrow. So you may have to hack some things together. Whereas in an enterprise, you can take it slow and steady. You can find some mentors. You can build out a framework. You can think about things a little bit more. So I think it also really depends where you are in your career. Do you want to learn how to do things more properly and with the framework, or do you want to have higher impact and maybe even learn quicker? So I think it really depends on what you're looking for.
yeah. That's really some cool point that you just mentioned. You've been working at some pretty amazing companies and also working advising startups. So what are some of the tips that you can just give to someone who just want to get into the startup? The normal approach is we'll just create a resume and we'll just apply to the role. That's the normal approach. So what something different that you just mentioned will help me to stand out from others?
Sure. So I think it's a great question, and there's a complex answer because we can divide it into a few things. Depends where you are in the funnel. So at the beginning of the funnel, you want to get as many leads as you can, right? So one way to get leads is basically creating a presence on the internet, right? So if you write a few articles, let's say you like machine learning, and it could even be very simple things. You don't have to be someone super advanced. You could say, hey, here's what I learned today. And just having the way you're sharing your mind online and having that presence gives you one step beyond other candidates because, oh, this is a guy who has his own presence. This is a guy who's a self-starter. So I think having a small portfolio can really help you. That's number one. Number two, the highlight I would say is impact in everything you do. What does impact mean? It starts from your CV until the rounds of the interviews, until when you start working for a startup. So instead of saying, hey, I have 3 years experience as a machine learning engineer at a travel tech company, it's not as interesting in my mind as saying, uh, we built a product that scaled to 1 million users for AI recommendations
Yeah.
in the 3 years that I was there, because you're talking about impact. So I would say every line in your CV, if you can make it impact focused, you'll be one step ahead of the market, at least in my feeling. Don't tell me who you are, tell me what you did. That's what I'm interested in. If we go more further down the funnel, I would say the same thing for interviewing. If you're interviewing me now, instead of me telling you, yeah, I was 2 years at LivePerson, it's not so interesting. I would say I was at LivePerson and we built out the integration with Apple and Google. So now 5 million users within the 3 months have been using our solution. and they get better recommendations now. That shows impact. So I would be highly impact focused in everything. What's the value that I can bring you, both in my articles and my portfolio at the beginning of the funnel, and also during interviews? If you hire me tomorrow, what's the impact that I'm going to give you? Am I going to 5x your company or not? That's what people are asking themselves, especially in a startup. How are you going to help me tomorrow? Not in 1 year from now, tomorrow. So I think if you can get that across, I think it's very valuable. The next thing I would say is don't focus only on technical details. How good are you as a machine learning engineer? That's the first step. But beyond that, you have, is it fun to work with you? And are you a leader? Right? So we have two things over here. So the number one thing is, are you a leader? Are you a team player? Is it going to be fun to work with you? So let's say you're interviewing me now. I could tell you, hey, Sumant, yeah, I solved this equation and I did that and I did that and okay, fine. But so like, you're not a robot. You want to know it's going to be fun to work with me and that I'm going to challenge you, right? So say, oh, Sumant, how was your day today? Okay, cool. So let's start with the interview. I know you get many interviewees, but here's how I would attack it. And you probably get this type of answer, but I would go for it like that. You know, thinking outside the box, like,
Yeah.
how are you as a person? How are you as a team member? These are questions that your interviewer is asking themselves. So it's not just about your technical skill, it's even more about your your personality, about your team working skills, your leadership skills. Something that I would advise everyone to do is go on YouTube and search Amazon leadership principles. So one of the thing there is being biased towards action. So when you have a story to tell your interviewer, hey, there was a time when we did that and everyone wasn't sure what to do, I started immediately by the first thing that I thought would catch on. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I wanted to start working, and it eventually worked. And we got 5x the users, going back to impact again. So I showed leadership and I showed impact. If you can show those values, I think many people will hire you pretty quickly if you can portray that. Now, it's not a skill that you build in one day. It's a skill that you constantly work on yourself. Did I give you value now in this interview or not? Are you interested in what I'm saying or not? You constantly iterate on yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's really amazing, Daniel. Like some of the points that you just mentioned, especially the first point, learning in public, where we just portray ourselves, like whatever we just learned, creating a blog or writing some thread, or let's say creating a video. It definitely helps not only for the recruiters who can just reach out to us, or we can just have our own portfolio. We are just building it in public and we are just showcasing them that this is the proof of my work. So I'm just I just learned this, I've just built that, and I'm just sharing it here. So yeah, that's really one of the important point. And thanks for mentioning that. And apart from that, some of the point that you just mentioned after that, like how we should approach the interview, like talking about the impact when you're just explaining some project, or let's say explaining your experience. So really amazing, and I completely agree with all the points, Daniel. And thanks for mentioning that.
Sure. And the final point that I would say that I think I only learned in the past half year or year is that it's a mutual experience. Usually, especially if you're a junior, you want to jump on any job opportunity. But I want to tell you that in my experience, it's the same as dating. When you show that you want to know it's a good fit for you, you gain two things. The first, you find a place that fits you better. That's number one. Then you don't go to a random company and you might get fired after a month. It's not interesting. You want something that's a good fit for you too. It's not about getting accepted to the job. It's about, is this a good match? Am I going to grow here? Am I going to enjoy it here? The second thing, when you test your interviewer, it shows that you have confidence and it shows that you're pretty high level because you're not just being a yes man. You're saying, hey, this is what I need from my leader, from my boss? Can he handle me? Can he handle tough questions? Am I going to grow here? So I would say, even though it's scary if you're a junior, like, oh no, what's he going to think of me? I think it works out for the best when you test your interviewer as well. So that's the final point that I would make.
Yeah, that's really important, and thanks for mentioning that as well. And
Sure.
I would like to ask one more, what I just call, is it a skill or something? Networking. So how useful it is, how one should try to network with people. Definitely, you are going to many events, conferences. You have been working in tech. So, what are some of the things that you just want to mention when it comes to networking with people, and how it benefits to one's career?
Right. So I think networking is a really cool skill to have and very important. I also learned it pretty late in the game. Um, but I think networking is important, but it's important also to keep your eye on the ball, right? So if I go every day to another meetup, what's the ROI? Am I getting good leads? Is it helping me in the future? So I would say networking is great, but make sure that you're focused. Like, what is your goal? Is your goal to get accepted somewhere? Then see how much are these meetups actually helping you? How much are these connections on LinkedIn actually helping you? So take it with a grain of salt. You know, networking sounds really cool and amazing, but make sure that you're focused. Do you feel you need to improve your engineering skills, your personal skills, or your networking skills? Like, make sure to focus on whatever feels the most difficult for you. That's probably where you should put your energy. Um, so I would say that beyond just sending your CV, if you reach out to people on LinkedIn, and actually not recruiters, I would say reach out to people who would be your potential boss. Okay, so when I was interviewing as a PM, as a product manager, I would reach out to VP of product or even the CEO, because I don't care so much. You might not be like me and you do care, but reach out to your potential boss. Don't reach out to the recruiter, because the recruiter has a set of filters and they can't see beyond those filters. So reach out to a VP, head of department, say, hey, here's how I think I could bring value. And I love what you're doing. You know, make it as personalized as possible. And surprisingly, sometimes you'll get answers of, yeah, let's have a chat on Sunday. And you're like, whoa, what just happened? Like, I just skipped a few phases in the interview process. So networking is
Yeah.
definitely cool, but make sure you're putting the right focus on the networking and that you're actually getting something out of it, because it's really easy to get lost in the world of networking.
I would like to ask, what are you currently doing at the company that you are just are?
Cool. So I would say at the company level, we're focused now on really what value can we bring to the world, or more specifically, backend engineers. How can we get natural language processing at the tip of their fingers with a simple API call? What skills would they like to see? Is it summarizing articles or summarizing conversations? Is it sales? Is it customer success? Where can we bring the most value? So we're trying to figure out, you know, product market fit. Where can we bring the most value, I would say? What skills can we help you with your API inside your code the most? That's what we're trying to figure out. Because often we'll make a skill that people don't actually use, for example, action items, or we may discover that the quality of the skill is low quality. So it's kind of like going back and forth between our researchers and what we can actually build that would work well, compared to what the devs need. So I would say product market fit is what we're focusing on now, around which skills we need. That's number one. Me specifically, I would say that I'm more outbound currently. So building community, building our messaging, getting who are we as a brand out there, talking with devs, talking with people and getting their feedback on our product. Is it helping them? Cool. How is it helping you? Is it not helping you? Then what are we missing? Basically listening, trying to listen and figure out what to build. Yeah.
One final thing that you just want to say to the audience who just watching this video from your experience, like working as a developer, working as a product manager, working currently with a startup. So what's the advice that you just want to give to the audience who are just watching this video? Yeah.
I would say one thing, for many years in my career, I wasn't happy. I was building it. I discovered it took me a while to understand I didn't really enjoy what I was doing for a while in my career. So I would say, even though it's tough, you won't always enjoy 100% what you're doing. Try to listen to yourself. I know it sounds very, very obvious or cliche, but the more you enjoy what you do, I'm not telling you go be a clown or an NBA player or, but the more you do enjoy what you do, I think over time, the more you're going to enjoy your career, and also the more you're going to be better at it. And sometimes you're going to be like, no, wait, I studied this and that, and I have to do X. But then you'll figure out that there are many other options where you could leverage what you studied to go in a direction you never thought of before. So I would say make sure that you're on a path that feels good to you, and that you're advancing slowly. You don't have to rush anywhere. You can start at any time.
Yeah, that's really cool. And thanks for sharing your views, Daniel. Thanks for your time for this podcast. And I'm sure definitely this will add value to the audience who just watching this.